Hey everyone, my name is Olga Chebikina. We continue our series of interviews with the lovely Daria Makalova, a human design expert. Dasha is a graduate of the International School of Human Design. She's been practicing for 9 years already. Tens of thousands of people have passed through you, lots of positive reviews, and only such experts end up on our channel. Today our topic is partnership and children's design. Let's start with kiddie design. Children's design is about designing kids' rooms, before our recording with you.
Through design, you can analyze a person's map to form a more accurate understanding of a child's mental and physical health, thus enhancing their upbringing and overall well-being. We provide a methodology with mechanical adjustment of a person, avoiding unrealistic expectations and relieving you from asking yourself questions. And with kids, it's exactly the same. A new person is being born, and you don't know what his factory settings are. So, is he active or passive? Is he energetic or not? And in human design, we are already looking very closely at the type of diet. And it's important for the kids. But here, it's not so much about the products as it is about a certain sleep, wakefulness, and feeding routine. I strongly urge you to utilize children's cards right from their initial introduction, as the mother is provided with and the father naturally receives instructions regarding the child's birth. Manifestor, so the initiator will grow. Generator, so I gotta hook it from early childhood with some activities so it can charge its battery. The projector, it's like the baby of the system. I have to show it everything from the start, like a toy, a rattle. So there's this person who studies structure. Reflector, a person of inconsistency. This kid is always changing, Today he's into birds, tomorrow he's into puppies. The interior, for example, in a kid's room can change and be completely different. This is an authentic and clear example of how this children's manual can actually be used as an instruction in proper interaction, thus shaping and nurturing a child's personality effectively. They always check kids' card with mom's card because mom is most important person in child's life, especially during first 7 years. Moving forward, you may find yourself wondering, how does a young child with limited experience make a decision? You can't do that until next year. So the decision is made by the mother, and when she's on point, it's like she gets and reads the needs. He's hungry right now, or he needs to be physically occupied with something, or maybe he just wants to sleep. So here is this small children's instruction. It serves as a genuinely cool support at any stage of life, regardless of age. No matter how old your children are now, you can look back and remember the earliest years of their lives, how they were, because they start to change a lot with the help of parents, simply because they didn't know who came before them. They raise parents in their own image and likeness. So if I'm active, it means I'll actively carry my child's projector too.
Oh, you're talking right now. I get that I don't understand a bunch of factors. I didn't make a child's card. If you don't mind, I'll come to you when we finish recording, because from what we've already discussed, I have a question about how such a mother has an energetic child. So this person is like a total clone of me on the outside and a complete opposite of me on the inside. So the relationship between a man and a woman, this partnership, you have a wonderful story. You literally met your husband right after school and are still together. This is a pretty rare, valuable, exclusive story for the modern world. I'm far from thinking that you're going to say now that it's all thanks to a person's knowledge of design. However, please inform me about the periods, compatibility, the answers you've learned in your studies, applied to yourself, and what the rest of us should do.
I was 19, he was 17. We both went to the same Academy of Physical Education and Sports. But he's now a professional athlete, so he's gone his own way. We're from the same village, Pskov region, and accordingly we went to the same school, but we never paid attention to each other. And there were, of course, different periods. We lived in 2 cities for a while because I graduated earlier, went to St. Petersburg, and he finished his studies. I finished school and then joined the army, so I was waiting for him behind the army, and then we came to St. Petersburg together, and only then we got married. So, what is the amount he receives? We've been together for 14 years, yeah? This is such a long period of time, and our actual development and maturing happened from such childish or teenage thinking into a whole different level when you start to have this incredible respect and admiration for each other. So when the idea of monetizing human design came into my life, when the first money appeared naturally, I saw it as such a courageous, relieved exhale of breath, a moment of immense bravery and liberation. But once more, perhaps it was the energy that was radiating from me, yeah, I genuinely loved doing design, still do. You can see it, like I was completely engrossed in this information and nothing else, didn't really trouble me. He's also a generator for me. He's spontaneous, I'm emotional. So like the strategy, for example, of our relationship, I always got to wait before I go anywhere. But that's really tough. I want to behave the opposite way. And my husband is very spontaneous. So when you inquire with these individuals for a plan, time management, everything ought to be scheduled. You can train yourself to do this, but it's impossible to follow it without getting frustrated. So when you have a clear schedule and plan, and in the event that you do not have a backup plan to cancel the trip, cancel it, like in your case, the shoot. Or I don't want to, that's it, no energy, no response. So what if meeting is scheduled? So this guy, the so-called spontaneous generator, he came here to make a decision on the spot. You never know what's going to happen to you in an hour. You want to grab a drink or a bite to eat. You want to go for a ride in the car or just take a walk. Our couple is complete opposites. He's unemotional, needs to make quick decisions, and I'm the one who, according to his strategy, lived and acted quickly, spontaneously, right now. I have to wait for this particular clarity of mine. So when I get overwhelmed with emotions, of course, I shouldn't be making any kind of agreements. When you're in an emotional frenzy, let's refer to it as that, because it truly happens to me without fail every single time. He's having a hard time with me and our relationship. It was easier for me. It's hard to accept this change in mood. But when I explained it to him, he was clueless about design. He doesn't know the terminology, but he can say things like, "Oh, you're not on the same wavelength today, huh? All right, I won't bother you." So when Dasha is in a bad mood, it's clear. Or when you cook something to eat, I say, "I'm not interested." Okay, cool. So no problem. I'll just go there and prepare it myself. And I am kindly legalize this expression. I do not have any energy. I do not have any response whatsoever. However, let us put it in this particular manner. Do not turn it into an excuse for your lack of motivation or a justification for your laziness. I have people who say in relationships, I haven't felt any response in my relationships for a long time, but I can't break up with them and part ways. Here's another question when there's dialogue. Basically, we can always solve problems by talking. When you ask your partner a question, you're responding to me, so you want to continue the relationship, we're moving forward somewhere. Based on your partner's body language, even if he says, yeah, sure, you'll always be able to tell when something's off. So in relationships, design 100% helps you understand yourself and your partner, your differences. We have different factory settings. We have different mechanics here. For example, if a projector meets a generator or a manifestor meets a reflector. So you're not asking your partner to be someone they're not at any point. Why would I need, for example, a spouse who would be my projector? If my husband were a projector, I would demand extra initiative and activity from him. Why don't you, like me, go to 5 sections and run? Issues are being resolved. It's like discussing children's design. Yeah, we were discussing it. Don't expect a child to be someone they're not. And once you commence being truthful with yourself, treating others in a respectful manner, nobody in life will ever have the expectation for you to construct something out of yourself.
Now arrives the most critical question, the one you are currently observing this compatibility interview for. But here's a preliminary question. You're a generator, and he's a generator too, but with some quirks. So basically, you just need to keep in mind that within any category, there are subcategories. We're different. Here's how people understand compatibility. That is, figuring out that I'm a generator, you're a generator, I'm a generator there, you're a reflector. But it seems we need to consult a specialist for insight on this interaction. Can you determine it independently?
No, I'm going to say something right now that when you're invested in a relationship, you're probably going to say something like that. And I have this phrase, everything starts with me wherever you look. And you can dig into your partner, your friend, your work buddy. It all starts with me. And when you look at your map and you realize, oh my God, maybe my partner's different. Or, yeah, I'll go to him right now and say, for example, that I'm not so energetic. Or a woman manifestor. A common issue in relationships. So like a woman who initiates. So basically, she leads in the relationship, deciding what we'll do, where we'll go on vacation and all that. I'm giving you some really rough examples right now, but nevertheless, it's her normal nature.
This is all learned in order to understand how to build relationships with yourself and your partner correctly and as smoothly as possible. But nevertheless, you still have a huge amount of experience and cases. And you understand who is easier with whom.
Can you do it by character types? The easiest thing is that they have the same type, a connection, the generator understands it. The manifestor will understand another manifestor's partner in their initiative. So like I start, you start, and we ain't got no problem with that. Two projectors, they understand their own nuances and peculiarities in their own kind of non-energeticness and do not require excessive activity or movement from themselves. Or reflectors, yeah, absolutely, like those moon creatures. These are like the most, in my opinion, unusual people. Reflectors, non-standard, non-conformists, always different. It's like you're riding the same wave with this person, and you understand that we have something in common. Relationship problems usually start when we expect our partner to meet our expectations. I'm energetic, you be energetic. The main problem, for instance, is in the partnership relations, where the generator and the projector, I'll remind you, this isn't an energy type. He can work lying down. I'm telling you, he'll just lay down and perfectly manage things from the couch. People who've automated everything in this world. The thing about the generator is sometimes we don't want to, but we ain't gonna clean up. Sometimes we have something that takes off. Let me give you an example from my experience. Sometimes I clean my own home. But if in a partnership, your spouse, your other half, whether it's a woman, a man, or a projector, and you demand from them, like, why are you lying down? So when we take off our expectations from a partner, from a person, from a friend who may not be so active, it's like everything falls into place and we're like, oh, you're just different. This is again about honesty. And in relationships, it's exactly the same. So like if you're really serious in a relationship, you'll never want to change your partner. You fully accept him. It begins with me. So like once you start treating yourself and your partner with respect, you'll witness magic occurring. He is starting to interact with you the same, with the kids the same. So first you need to figure yourself out with your own card so that, for example, you can demand compliance from a child to the settings. You kind of raised him somewhere, maybe already broke these settings. And now, oh, I've got you figured out. I'm going to demand that you be instantly submissive. With kids, it's a different energy, not an energy type. There's a different sleep. Someone needs to be rocked. Someone needs early sleep. You need a generator to run out of steam. That's precisely how it is in relationships. And if you are a crazy generator, then prior to going to bed, you must engage in some physical activity to use up your battery. So we have to dance and tidy up before going to bed. So it is like something physical that will recharge your battery, like a generator. He plops down with an incredible sense of pleasure, like that's it, I've lived this day not in vain, with the projector reversed. So this isn't the right engine. The projector needs rest before going to bed for good. When talking about kids, put them to bed early. For your partner, give them space to avoid exhaustion. Prioritizing rest is important for both children and adults. First factor, if partner is a projector or a reflector, he's completely exhausted, means he's physically worn out from work, whether because of you or someone else. His body is just saying, that's it, I'm shutting down, I need to rest.
I get it. There are billions of nuances. And you've already said that there are a bunch of factors that come into play. There are categories where the environment plays a crucial role. Who were mom and dad? How well did they live according to their type, you know? In what environment? In which one? What level of physical health are you at? That is, the regularities can be deduced specifically general. So let's go through the main points for each category that determine.
Yeah, there's a lot of info in a person's design, meaning the more accurate the DOB, the deeper the analysis can be done. But for the average Joe, it's enough to at least remember and understand the 4 types. Because there's also a decision-making strategy, like what internal authority, are you spontaneous or emotional? And different types have different interpretations. And now if we go back to the child, imagine you have instructions from your child in your hands. You understand how to build a playground for his proper upbringing and ensure his well-being. So the word upbringing, I don't really even like it. Kids aren't raised properly. You see, of course, what your child naturally achieves, and you don't interfere with him expressing himself and gaining this experience. And here comes such a factor, a mix appears, mother, who, for example, is a mother manifester. How is she going to raise a child who isn't a manifesto? Like 2 peas in a pod. A mother like that will make you show some initiative. Come on, let's go, hustle up. Why are you sitting there? Be the first to raise your hand in class. Most of the issues parents experience, not just daycare and school, but at home, when the child is young, it's easy to handle. Daily routine. No motion sickness with projectors, for example, for kids. Generator to fall asleep, that's common sense. They're playing and passed out on the carpet right away, or they're eating something at the table. That's it. They don't care where to sleep. If I want to sleep, I'll fall asleep to loud music, to noise, sitting, standing, doesn't matter where. No need to rock children of projectors and manifestors. Manifestors will find this annoying and irritate them. Recommendation: for little kids, put them in the crib. Put it down and step away. Excessive motion sickness from projectors can actually stimulate activity. So, they also need to be left alone in advance. There's a section called Diet Type, where you can see under what conditions your child's body is mechanically tuned to receive food. For instance, there's this thing with kids who have this odd hot-cold eating style. Someone needs liquid and warm food. How to find out? So like the kid can just say it. For instance, there's this thing called day-night feeding, which means some kids need to be fed when there's UV light, like when the sun is out, while others can't handle direct sunlight. I have a multitude of examples as well for the ladies who have recently given birth. And they say, Dash, listen, if I didn't know that my baby needs to be covered with a diaper, and he stops crying and I feed him in the cradle when there is no light, and for the other one, on the contrary, you need to take him out, and it should be bright in the room. You can't make this up. Again, you don't have to believe in this. Just watch how the kid's body reacts, you know?
It definitely needs to be studied. And it's really cool that you highlighted it. The earlier the better. And now that you know this, young future mothers, it's true, I'm a little jealous, but I ask you to roughly walk through adult partnership with broad strokes to indicate what is happening for each of the types, so that we understand what needs to be accepted in ourselves and in our partner.
Let's start with the most common combos. I guess it's when the partner, the generator, and the projector. Well, that makes sense because 70% generator and 20% are projector. So these are like perfect types for both business, allow me to explain why, and for interaction because, once again, in these relationships, the projector should invite. This is a big deal. And now if you're a projector, take a look at your relationships. Were you invited there or were you the one who initiated it? Because in actuality, the context relies on this particular factor. Your family, your relationships, that is, if the input was correct, proper, according to the mechanics into them. The four main spheres, as I said, are relationships. Invite a projector for work, living, and love decisions. The main such points. And also, if, for example, you change your job or place of residence, then it's also cool if it's by invitation, when they just approach you and offer, for example, a job in another country. So basically, it's like acknowledging you as an expert, and we're inviting you, and it's up to the projector whether they agree or not. If, for example, a manifestor is in a relationship, again, this is a freedom-loving person, they can't stand control, they came here to influence, and look at how the scenario can develop in a relationship if you're a terrible controller or a control freak. Basically, nobody really likes it when they're being controlled, but for a manifestor, it's just plain unnatural, because it's like nobody has the right to tell him what to do and how to do it. I ain't asking you know how. I imagine, for example, there's this projector who loves giving advice, sometimes unsolicited, and a manifestor who could probably manage just fine on their own. Or there is a projector that desires to influence with its own advice, which is unnatural in nature. Sure, there's friction and sparks in the relationship. A reflector is like a thing. Dude, don't expect permanence. That's totally fine. And reflectors are called both children, well, and if we're talking about adults, it's anti-system. So there's no need for them to create uniformity in life. He's always different. Either you accept this partner or you don't. At the start of a relationship, they often get impressed. OMG, you're so different, you like this and that, and after a few years, this can start to bother you. For example, the reflector has some kind of problem, something is wrong with me, I need to be similar to that. So, in our world, in order not to stand out from the crowd, from the pack, you have to be the same, average, and then they will pat you on the head in relation to the kindergarten, school, and the collective. We're all different, with different settings, came here to individually experience our own unique experience.
Once again, a million questions remain behind the scenes. Dasha, my dear, thank you. I want to apply all of this right away. Here's a response. I want to know everything. So we're showing different branches and different currents so that people can find something for themselves.